Namaste. Welcome to my channel. This is Priyadarshini. We will discuss today the digestive glands of the digestive system. In the previous video, I have made it on alimentary canal. If you want, you can check it. I have put the link in the description box. एनसीईआरटी के अलावा मैंने बहुत सारे बुक्स रेफर किए हैं, सो आपको नीट के लिए या अदर कम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स के लिए चाहिए तो ये बहुत यूजफुल होगा. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट आवर टॉपिक.
Digestive glands. First, we'll discuss salivary glands. Salivary glands discharge their secretion into the oral cavity. In man, the salivary glands are three pairs: parotid salivary gland, sublingual salivary gland, submandibular salivary gland. First, salivary gland, parotid glands. These are the largest salivary glands which are situated near the ears. Their ducts open into the oral cavity near the upper second molars. The duct of parotid gland is called Stenson's duct. Here the parotid duct is also called Stenson's duct. Sublingual glands. Now the sublingual glands. These are the smallest salivary glands which are located beneath the tongue, and their ducts called sublingual ducts or ducts of Rivinus, which open into the floor of the oral cavity. Now submandibular salivary gland. These are medium sized glands which are located at the angle of lower jaw. Their ducts open into the oral cavity near the lower central incisors. The duct of submandibular gland is called as Wharton's duct. The parotid salivary glands secrete much of salivary amylase or alpha amylase, also called as ptyalin. Sublingual and submandibular salivary glands secretes salivary amylase and mucus. Salivary amylase is absent in herbivores. The disease mumps is a viral infection that may involve one or both parotid salivary glands. The fluids secreted by the salivary glands constitute saliva. It is slightly acidic and is a mixture of water and electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, chlorine, derived from blood plasma, mucus and serous fluids. And salivary amylase, ptyalin and lysozyme, which is antibacterial agent, is also present in saliva. Now gastric glands. These are numerous microscopic tubular glands formed by the epithelium of the stomach. The following types of cells are present in the epithelium. Peptic cells, here you can see the peptic cells, also called as chief cells here. They are usually basal in location and secrete gastric digestive enzymes as proenzymes or zymogens, pepsinogen and prorenin. These are the main proenzymes. The chief cells also produce small amount of gastric amylase and gastric lipase. Gastric amylase action is inhibited by highly acid condition. Gastric lipase contributes little to digestion of fat. Prorenin is secreted in young mammals. It is not secreted in adult mammals. Now oxyntic cells or parietal cells. Here you can see these are large and most numerous on the side walls of the gastric glands. They are called oxyntic cells because they stain strongly with eosin. Eosin is a pigment. They are called parietal cells as they lie against the basement membrane. They secrete hydrochloric acid and calcium intrinsic factor. Now the mucus cells. These are also called goblet cells and are present throughout the epithelium and secrete mucus. The secretions of these cells form gastric juice. Infants' gastric juice pH is 5.0, which is slightly acidic, and in adults its pH is 1.5 to 2.5, which is very acidic. The gastric juice contains two proenzymes, pepsinogen and prorenin, and enzymes gastric lipase and gastric amylase, and mucus and HCl. The epithelium of gastric glands also has following two types of cells, which are endocrine cells and stem cells. Endocrine cells are usually present in the basal parts of the gastric glands. These are called argentifine cells and gastric cells or G cells. Here you can see in the basal part both the cells are present. These are the endocrine cells of system. Now we will discuss about gastric cells. These are present in the pyloric region and secrete and store the hormone gastrin. Serotonin is a vasoconstrictor and stimulates the smooth muscles. Somatostatin suppresses the release of hormones from the digestive tract. Histamine dilates the walls of the blood vessels. Gastrin stimulates the gastric glands to release the gastric juice. Now stem cells. These are the undifferentiated cells that are present in the epithelium of gastric juice glands. They multiply and replace other cells. They increase in number when the gastric epithelium is damaged. It is when gastric ulcer occurs and play an important role in healing. Now we will see liver. It is the largest gland of the body. The liver lies in the upper side of the abdominal cavity just below the diaphragm. In male, it weighs 1.4 to 1.8 kgs and in female, it weighs 1.2 to 1.5 kg. The liver is divided into two main lobes. Here, the right hepatic lobe and here the left one. Both the lobes are separated by falciform ligament. Here it is present. Internally, the structural and functional units of liver are the hepatic lobules containing hepatic cells arranged in form of cords. Each lobule is covered by a thin connective tissue sheath called Glissen's capsule. It is a characteristic feature of mammalian liver. The mammalian liver also contains Kupffer cells that are phagocytic and eat out worn out cells like WBCs, RBCs and bacteria. Fat storage cells are also present. Here you can see the liver lobule, which is also known as hepatic lobule. Here sinusoids, these are the sinusoid, this is the hepatocyte, these are Kupffer cells which have phagocytic actions. Bile. Bile is secreted by the liver cells. The hepatocytes secrete bile. Bile enters the bile canaliculi or the bile capillaries. These canals pour bile into the interlobular bile duct, walled by columnar epithelium. Gallbladder. Gallbladder is a pear-shaped sac-like structure and is attached to the posterior surface of the liver by connective tissue. Here you can see this is the gallbladder present near the liver. It is pear-shaped and it stores bile secreted by the liver. Rat and horse do not have gallbladders. The right and left hepatic ducts join to form a common hepatic duct. See, you can see it. Right hepatic duct, left hepatic duct. They combine and form a common hepatic duct. And this joins the cystic duct which arises from the gallbladder. This is the cystic duct which arises from the gallbladder and it combines to form a pancreatic duct. And here it is guarded by a sphincter and it is called as sphincter of Oddi. The cystic duct and hepatic duct to form a bile duct which passes downwards posteriorly to join the main pancreatic duct. As I have told earlier, here this is called the ampulla of Vater. The ampulla opens into the duodenum. The sphincter of Boyden surrounds the opening of the bile duct before it is joined with the pancreatic duct. Now we will see the blood supply in liver. Blood enters the liver from two sources, from the hepatic artery and from the hepatic portal vein. It gets the oxygenated blood from the hepatic artery and from the hepatic portal vein it receives deoxygenated blood. Blood in the hepatic artery comes from the aorta. Blood in the hepatic portal vein comes directly from the intestine containing newly absorbed nutrients. The hepatic portal vein also brings blood from the spleen to the liver. Liver has highest power of regeneration. We will discuss few functions of liver, such as production of bile, deamination. It is a process by which amino group is removed from the amino acids, resulting in the production of ammonia, which is converted into urea. It helps in excretion, it helps in glycogenesis, it helps in glycogenolysis, lipogenesis, detoxification, such as liver converts toxic substances into harmless substances such as harmful prussinic acid formed during metabolism in all body cells is neutralized and rendered harmless by the liver cells. It also secretes heparin. It is an anticoagulant. Lymph formation is done. Then destruction of red blood vessels which are worn out. It helps in phagocytosis. The kapha cells present in the liver, they perform the phagocytosis process. Osmoregulation is done. Liver produces angiotensinogen, which is a protein which helps kidneys in maintaining body fluid osmoregulation. Storage. Liver stores glycogen, fats, vitamins, ADE, B12, etc. Bile in the gallbladder and water, iron, etc. What are the functions of bile now? They help in neutralization of HCl, emulsification, prevention of decomposition. Bile is alkaline, hence it prevents the decomposition of food by preventing the growth of bacteria on it. Stimulation of peristalsis. Bile increases peristalsis in the system. And now, obstruction of the hepatic or bile duct by gallstones or due to other cause is common. Jaundice occurring as a result of such obstruction is called as obstructive jaundice. In this disease, the bile is absorbed into the blood instead of going to the duodenum and causes yellowing of eyes and skin. Now we will see pancreas. It is a soft, lobulated, greyish pink gland which weighs 60 grams. Here you can see in the picture. What are the external structures of pancreas? First see that. The pancreas comprises head, neck and body. See, you can see the body of pancreas here. This is the head portion, this is the tail portion. And the main pancreatic duct is formed from smaller ducts within the pancreas. The main pancreatic duct opens into the hepatopancreatic ampulla, which is the ampulla of Vater. Here, the ampulla of Vater, the main common bile duct you can see, it opens into the ampulla of Vater here. An accessory pancreatic duct is also present in the pancreas and opens directly into the duodenum. Here the duodenum is there. What are the internal structures of pancreas? These contain two parts, exocrine part and the endocrine part. First, the exocrine part. The exocrine part of pancreas consists of rounded lobules, acini. Here you can see the acina cells which are rounded that secrete alkaline pancreatic juice with pH 8.4. About 500 to 800 ml of pancreatic juice is secreted per day. The pancreatic juice is carried by the main pancreatic duct into the duodenum through the hepatopancreatic ampullae. Here you can see the pancreatic duct. The pancreatic juice is flown into the duodenum through the hepatopancreatic ampullae. The arrow shows it. And the accessory pancreatic duct directly pours the pancreatic juice into the duodenum. The pancreatic juice contains sodium bicarbonate, 3 proenzymes such as trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen and procarboxypeptidase, and some enzymes such as elastase and pancreatic alpha amylase, DNase, RNase and pancreatic lipase. The pancreatic juice helps in digestion of starch, proteins, fat and nucleic acid. Now we will see endocrine part. The endocrine part of pancreas consists of islets of Langerhans. The human pancreas has 1 million islets. They are most numerous in the tail of pancreas. Each islet of Langerhans consists of following types of cells, which secrete hormones to be passed into the circulating blood. First, we will see the alpha cells. Here you can see the green structure. These cells are more numerous towards the periphery of the islet and constitute 15% of islets of Langerhans. They produce glucagon hormone, which converts glycogen into glucose in the liver. Thus, glucagon is diabetogenic hormone. Alpha cells is a diabetogenic hormone producing cell. Glucagon is a diabetogenic hormone. This is a important question. Beta cells. Here below it you can see the purple structure below the alpha cells. These cells are more numerous towards the middle of the islets and constitute 65% of Langerhans. They produce insulin hormone, which converts glucose into glycogen in the liver and muscles. Deficiency of insulin causes diabetes mellitus. Delta cells. Underneath beta cells, delta cells are present. These constitute 5% of islets of Langerhans, and they are a little less and are found near the periphery. They secrete somatostatin hormone, which inhibits the secretion of glucagon by alpha cells and secretion of insulin by beta cells. These hormones also slows absorption of nutrients from the gastrointestinal tract. Somatostatin secreted by agentifying cells of gastric and intestinal glands suppress the release of hormones from the digestive tract. Somatostatin is also secreted by hypothalamus of the brain, where it inhibits the release of growth hormone, which is the somatotrophin, by the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. This is why it is called as growth inhibitory hormone. Now the last type of cells present are the PP cells, pancreatic polypeptide cells. These are present in the pancreas, which constitute 15% of the islets of Langerhans. These cells secrete PP, which is pancreatic polypeptide, which inhibits the release of pancreatic juice. Thus, pancreas performs two main functions: secretion of pancreatic juice, which contains digestive enzymes, and production of the hormones. Now, intestinal glands. These are formed by the surface epithelium of the small intestine. These are of two types: crypts of Limbecoon and Brunner's glands. Here you can see this is the Brunner's gland, this one, and crypts of Limbecoon. Here the upper one. The crypts of Limbecoon are simple tubular structures which occur throughout the small intestine between the villi. Here you can see these are the tubular structures. They secrete digestive enzymes and mucus. The mucus is secreted by the goblet cells. Here you can see, as told earlier, the goblet cells secrete mucus, whereas water and electrolytes are secreted by the enterocytes present on the intestinal crypts. These crypts have at the base Paneth cells and argentifying cells. You can see the dark structure, Paneth cells and argentifying cells. Paneth cells are found particularly in the duodenum. These cells are present in the bottom of crypts of Limbecoon. These cells are rich in zinc and contain acidophilic granules. The function of these cells is not certain, but there is evidence that they secrete lysozyme, which is an antibacterial substance and is capable of phagocytosis. Argentifying cells. These synthesize secretin hormone. And now the Brunner's gland. Here you can see the Brunner's gland. And these are found only in duodenum and are located in the submucosa layer. They secrete a little enzyme and mucus. The secretion of the intestinal glands is called as intestinal juice or succus entericus. Remember, intestinal juice is also called as succus entericus with pH of 7.8. The intestinal juice contains maltase, isomaltase, sucrase, lactase, alpha-dextrinase, enterokinase, aminopeptidases, dipeptidases, nucleotidases, and intestinal lipase. In addition to the glands mentioned above, the entire alimentary canal has mucus glands that produce mucus. The mucus lubricates the digestive tract and food. Human digestive system has many accessory organs. Tongue, salivary glands, liver, gallbladder and pancreas are some important human accessory digestive organs. Now let's discuss swallowing. The food is tasted in the oral cavity and mixed with saliva. The tongue manipulates food during the chewing and mixing with saliva. This collection of food, the bolus, which is the mass of food, is then pushed inward through the pharynx into the esophagus. This process is called as swallowing. Swallowing involves coordinated activity of tongue, soft palate, pharynx and esophagus. Swallowing is conveniently divided into three stages, which is voluntary stage, pharyngeal stage and the esophageal stage. The voluntary stage, here you can see the tongue blocks the mouth, for which the food bolus is forced from the oral cavity to move into the pharynx, which is the oropharynx. This represents the voluntary stage of swallowing. Now the pharyngeal stage. In the second picture you can see the pharyngeal stage. With the passage of bolus into the pharynx, the involuntary pharyngeal stage of swallowing begins. The palate closes off the nose and the epiglottis seals off the glottis of the larynx. Thus breathing is temporarily interrupted. The bolus is passed from the pharynx into the esophagus here. In the third picture you will see the esophageal stage. This is also represented as the involuntary stage of swallowing. The bolus passes through the laryngopharynx and enters the esophagus in 1 to 2 seconds. The respiratory passage then reopens and breathing resumes. Swallowing is controlled by a swallowing center located in the medulla oblongata and lower pons spheruli of the brain. Peristalsis. During the esophageal phase of swallowing, food is pushed through the esophagus in involuntary muscular movements called peristalsis. Peristalsis is produced by the involuntary contraction of circular muscles in the esophagus lying just above and around the top of the bolus. Here you can see. And simultaneous contraction of the longitudinal muscles lying around the bottom or just below the bolus. Here the next one. The contraction of the longitudinal muscles shortens the lower part of the esophagus, pushing its wall outward so that it can receive the bolus. After these circular muscles of the esophagus relax, now you can see the esophagus, the longitudinal circular muscles relax. These contractions are repeated in a wave that moves down the esophagus, pushing the food towards the stomach. There is least peristaltic movement in the rectum of the human being.
That was all about the digestive glands of the digestive system. Next video will be about the physiology of digestion. If you have any doubt, please type in the comment box. And if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to hit the bell icon to get notified. Thank you.